All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the quarantine stream, the 46th one. I'm Richard Miller, your host. The one and only. Yes, and now let's hear that ever lovely, wonderful, ever green, ever beautiful quarantine stream theme. Ah, beautiful. Hope you're all doing okay out there. Getting vaccinated as you can, all that sort. Um, gonna start things off. Oh, and also hope you enjoyed the spoken word stylings of Luke Peabody and the musical stylings of Stickers. They are indeed hard people to understand, hard fellows to pin down. Anyway, this is what else can really be said about them other than that. Yeah, that's better. All right, this is from the new book. This is called Dance the Night Away. A blue wave sprayed gently onto the window. It remained an unfaded crescent reaching over the rooftop. Birds flew through untethered. Droplets yawned in sonorous applause. The shape succumbed, giving way by matching passing movements. As when water splashes in the sky, a maypole stands unraveled, while a sunfish kisses a butterfly. The fences were then a canvas, soaked tissue paper sprung over electrical wires. Fragile fork tails freshly shaven, as bronze tiger beetles glanced up at the heavens. Dance the night away! Goodness. Okay. And this is from a couple of years ago. This is called Milky Skies. For 3 weeks, I've seen the sky as one color, stretched over a muted spectrum. And I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration. With my sense of decency tested, I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions, only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back, adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose, or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way and he falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies. Here she flies. And now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies. Here she flies with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written out on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby wrapped in grade hardened plastic. Here she flies with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water, and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies, with skin like marble over winding staircases, and rooms with seafoam colored walls and intimidating machinery. This is called Submerging. My thoughts stop. My muscles go slack. I sink into the gray water. I rise, pick up shells, and see something inside. I see a spotlight bathed in cream, a turtle swimming slowly, and bioluminescent plankton out past the reef. I am not the follower. I have nothing to prepare for. I am not the leader. I've got no form. At this moment, I'm no one's son, except for my father's father's father. My head stays underneath. No new oxygen, but for the time being, I've got all I need. I'm not the follower. I've got nothing to wait for. I'm not the leader. I'm just being born. At this moment, I'm no one's son, except for my mother, the clouds, the sun, the land, and the water. All is one. All is one. I have come. All is one. Open reach. All is one. To infinity. All is one. Circle soul. All is one. Bird's beak. All is one. Silver seed. All is one. And we have come. This is from the new book. This is Investigating Mitsy. She rides around the merry-go-round, wearing satin slippers, chewing pink peppercorns. Her eyes are a miracle in the way they paint names in the minds of rain clouds. The lightning reaches out to introduce itself. The Queen of Atlantis draws filigree for the king while he's taking his bath. Bristling lips kiss the teeth of the key ring and lick ankles in math. She holds a bouquet of clarinets, wearing a lavender herringbone robe and nodding at buckets of soap. Her elbows hold her weight, on the sand dune decorated with still wet seashells and teacups half filled with a treacle she pours onto tree roots. The Queen of Atlantis plans where the French and English will meet. The king eats suckling pig and excites the court over soaking his feet. How are we doing out there? Any requests? Any minute now. All right, this is called Cheltenham Girl. It's about a real person who hasn't existed for a very long time, but does exist in one way or another. You get what I'm saying. Like a cloud, beautiful sound, standing before the signal. When the light shines on the ground, it reflects off the wheel. Parking lot, next to the short building on the edge of the desert. She sees it's harder to be a number when you're starting out as a visitor. Cheltenham Girl. Clouds can't create the shapes they make or hold on to any rain. Precious, temporary, holding no domain. No machines, no cell phone or computers, clicking through broken links. Credit card social security needed. She will refuse to register. She really will. Cheltenham Girl. Every day, another wish, another mile, closer to the point where I can portray it. Until then, all I'll do is sing to her spirit, and she will return. This is from the new book. This is called Should I Go In? The silver pepper mill whispers to the hammer that she's an airport. And though she never really shows anybody, I still know that she's an airport. If you stop at her coffee shop, she'll charge you extra for a plastic top. The well-water ice cubes have heard this tale before, but she's an airport. A zebra's chewing gum can confirm the reports that she's an airport. If you take off your shoes after the security stop, she'll throw them in the air and they'll land in the baggage cart. Run down the runway into the center of the day, where the sun is pointing to the ground. Reach all the way down to touch your toes and remember a story you'll want to pass along someday. Run down the runway into the center of the day, where the sun is pointing to the ground. Reach all the way down to touch your toes and remember a story you'll want to pass along someday. She's an airport and her father is a farm filled with corn stalks. Her mother is a candy factory spinning reflective baubles. She's an airport, and her father is a farm filled with corn stalks. Her mother is a candy factory spinning reflective baubles. Every color candy. If I could talk to you, I will some more. And just like in today's world of opinion and denunciation and admirable like in pictures and friendliness and outward inliness, maybe I'm on the thrust of that. She dreamed she was a train draped in robin's egg lace. She couldn't keep still in one place. She dreamed she was the only train running on the 4th of July, filled with whipped cream to burst and streamers to fly. She dreamed she was a train running past the impound lot, and after every platform on the route, she'd whisper, "I still love Phil." She was sad when they closed the gates at night. She dreamed she was a train filled with die-cast metal engines and cowboy hats, ordered by the civil rights worker's favorite daughter. She dreamed she was a train, her earrings flashing orange lights. She waves hello to the one car she'd stopped at the tiny suburban crossing, a train to get the tracks loose and rattling. Rattling tracks reminds her of those aunts and uncles talking over each other at her grandma's birthday. Rattling tracks reminds her of those aunts and uncles talking loudly over each other, trying to keep their dentures stuck in place, making repeatedly loud sounds while they argue about sports scores, the routes they took to get there that day, and how much grapes cost at the grocery store. Arguing loudly over each other, with names like Dez and Buster. No one knows why they're invited to her grandma's birthday. Birthday. Birthday! This is this is a book that's now going to be 5 years old, which is weird. The book is Salt or Light, and it appears on the surface to be about the military-industrial complex, but it is in fact not about the military-industrial complex. What this piece does, is it uses one form of an abuse of power to discuss another form of an abuse of power. This is called Would You Sell the Relics? The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression, and when the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstances under their command, while the brigadier general worries to no one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report, along with a summary cut together by a subordinate, in a matter of minutes so they don't have to waste any energy generating contradictory thoughts. While the captain enters their coordinates so their location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. And the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to one, "That's not Goebbels, it's clear it's Martin Bormann." The sergeant major that reset the standards of esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or that they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves, while the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future belongs to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road, and they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database. Then the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content. A chief warrant officer who breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address, who will even be paying attention in the audience, drinking from puddles, seeing what the sky says, not being able to read handwriting. His children received a small puzzle. And to the private, it's all an eye roll, and all so boring and shallow. To see another round of legacy shut out by an offhand remark, the private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think the other is a dilettante, and later the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the relics? And along those same lines, this is Sympathy for the Cowboy. Sympathy for the Cowboy, all alone on the range. After the war ended, he was forced to change his name. Sympathy for the Cowboy, holding his dying brother, who begged with his last breath, "Tell mother I died with honor." Sympathy for the meth lab and all who fight in harm's way, who hope to abolish minimum wage and charge only $15 a day. Sympathy for modern times and those who argue they're right. Sympathy for the victim who already has all the laws on their side. Sympathy for the student who's only lived in theory in a hammer and sickle t-shirt, walking away from the barricade. Sympathy for the lawsuit and all who fought for reform. Sympathy for the bumper sticker telling you to be reborn. Sympathy for the stallion, running free and too wild to ride. Sympathy for the guy who tried, his wife cried, him and his foolish pride. Sympathy for the strawberry and the trial separations, press releases pleading for privacy, and, of course, doing it for the kids. Sympathy for the nihilist, sucking on his cigarette, cutting you off in traffic, no constraints of guilt or regret. Sympathy for the stalker, on his computer outside, looking at pictures of you in high school, saving each one even if it takes him all night. Sympathy for the cowboy, whose son moved off the ranch, said he might be coming back soon, if there's no change of plans. This is a very old one that I wrote when I was 17. Written in Chicago on a very hot day. This is called They Never Felt Sorrow. Mind recover recourse cavern, colic, garlic, wrapped in rape. Duck blood punching wino porno spinning span spew. Lacerating, stomach bleeding, howling dirge, summer camp. Bitch boy, never ending, never mind, I'm just your soul. Ass preaching psycho dancers, wildly flashing life dance. Owl slop, teasing, jeering, genocide, clown of fools, crucifixion, demigod, good morning, phallic moon, looking, lurking, thoughts stealing, marquee, peace lemme, understanding, underhanding, fetal genes, spleen spill, lips smart, claustrophobic exaltation, spreading love, semi-happy sleep, feather finger, grinding sand, carpetbagger, through the heart, silver bullet for all to see, street scene, blue jean, bow tie, syrup cracker kicking speed, flare monkey, overwhelming, coffee lush, dead unharmed, roast teeth, parking lane, culture store, house shock, sleepy diction, slicking rabbi, madly turned, tired heart. Syncopation, simulation, belt sanding, reaping now, obese iron stroll, lost forever, pointing blank. Flashing flasher, abstractly, red writ tax void, corrosion slicing, tired brain cell, paranoid lumpen self. I swear I'm going to start reading one any second now. Yes, this is Windy Sequins. Through the missing bricks, you can see a banquet table with a candelabra crooked from water-falling wax. On the other side of the missing bricks is a tablecloth with faintly gray claw stains left by mourning doves. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table, heaving with indentations from apples, persimmons, cantaloupes, and pears. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a deer walking in the distance while a finger painting floats to the ground. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table with unopened telegrams and sturdy silver trays stacked with books about the Enlightenment. On the other side of the missing bricks, there is a pebble garden placed on a tree branch next to a mortar and pestle. Through the missing bricks, there is a banquet table lined along the bottom right edge with bowls of cold dandelion soup. Seated 45 degrees away from the banquet table is a man with a salt and pepper wax mustache humming waltzes and complaining about the distortions of sounds and colors. 110 years old, and he doesn't know that electric blue can be beautiful too. What are we doing out there? It's called Diamond Mine. Water rushing so fast it looks like knotted wood, its sound a ceaseless perpetual crash in static blue and black. Droplets burst over the plank's sides and dot the dirt or land on kicked out bricks, and from the ravine's opposite angle, the water seems to glide clockwise, rolling ever nearer toward the gears, and into the factory where 7 years previous the core of the industry sunk unexpectedly early, and like a defense attorney, the treasurer ruled the materials used were archaic and their methods unrealistic, and as demand seized up, the foreman and night shift technicians acidly joked they were laboring within the Great Repression. For ages it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured by a flood started from the diamond mine. We know. It's either tacitly implied or we're told outright. You can't be seen like that. You need lights. When money is exchanged and you're finally responsible and realistic, you can't be seen like that. You need lights. Know the value of being articulate and reconsider your obscure subject. You need to stay in the lines. You need to revise. Realize the need to eliminate images that would be unwise to present or ideas that you'd be unable to defend. Why persist if honest people cannot implicitly understand? You can't be seen like that. You need lights. For years, it seemed like the beams from the afternoon sun wouldn't come, but we later learned the view was obscured from a flood that started in the diamond mine. Back in the head office, on the desk next to the coffee, scissors, and gold pen set, was a black leather envelope, and that morning's newspaper, whose subheadline read, Forgetfulness, and detailed a local photographer who makes elaborate, enormous, near-twin gelatin prints of events, one real, one staged, and described the effect as painting over paintings. When asked by the reporter who will get this, the photographer remarked, anyone who misses being pure, or ever imagined placing one point in time over another, anyone who pictures the shape of ideas and not the shape of their mind, anyone who sees a crowd and tries to find the people in disguise. Later, the paper lay open to the crossword puzzle, and among answers written in indeterminate script were asides like, does purpose follow appearance? Where is this from? Reasons better than because. And finally, determining what to become. All right. Beautiful. This is a poem that I've read many times now over the years, but also on here. This is from 1997. It's, well, it's about many things. But it does have a bad word in it. So if you're offended by that sort of thing, run away now. But hopefully you are intelligent enough to understand that use of a word is not endorsement of a word or the sentiment or idea behind that word. That most everything that is written here is written from the point of view of a character, even if it is written in the first person. It's done that way as a literary device, and usage of these sorts of things, including words, are all tools to be used for artistic effect and the purposes of creative self-expression. And hopefully you are smart enough to understand all of that and you don't need to be treated like a stupid baby. So hopefully you aren't. So with that in mind, this is a poem about freedom. This is called I Never Run Out of Money. He got in the car just to drive away. It was 80s night on the radio, and he felt his eyelids quiver from the thoughts left behind them. He always wanted to go out with one of the older kids, and he sped past her house to remind herself that the whole thing hadn't been fiction. He had to chew on tablets of ephedrine just to stay awake as he careened down a one-lane town the clock read 2:14 a.m. Name another place where you don't have to worry about the cum on your coat from the guy in back of you on the bus, or the weekend in Boys Town where you lost all your money, where you can die for the 50 stars and still get reborn, where you can vomit on someone else's tonsils and still go home with them for the night, and you know that when you've got a dime bag in your lap and you can drive the service entrance to paradise, it's not a privilege, it's a birthright. He was always fascinated by the kids who looked a few years older, who looked coked up by the time they were 13. The news came from Washington. He had a fantasy that he kept kissing her on the forehead. Oliver North hadn't been acquitted, and Fawn Hall wasn't to blame, just like when they arrested Manuel Noriega because he wouldn't pay cash for the shipping costs of all his cocaine. He pulled into the Super K for some Coca-Cola and saluted the limp American flag on the way in. Rolling Stone had Bruce Springsteen on the cover, and he felt like he had razor blades inside his stomach. Somehow, everybody felt let down by the Gulf War. It wasn't as bloody as My Lai, it wasn't as funny as Grenada, and gooks weren't bombed in the process. The commodities and golden parachutes kept all the middle management well liquored up by the time Bush was giving his resignation speech. Voodoo economics and the crack epidemic sometimes made you wish that Nixon had been right all along, but this never seemed to bother him, and the national debt never meant shit to any decent citizens, especially not the kids who saw Heathers when it was still playing in the theaters. He got off the phone with one of his friends who complained that crack smoking was just a quote-unquote cheap ghetto high. What an asshole. The erythromycin was fucking up his liver, but at least it kept the acne off. He read a book about Charles Manson and figured the only difference between him and Nixon was a few years in jail and a copy of the White Album. But still, the thought of Squeaky or Sadie dressed up in their black capes, creepy crawling into someone's house was still freaky enough to keep him sleeping out on the couch. That night, he had a horrible dream. Eric Estrada was hosting a beauty pageant at the Playboy Mansion, featuring categories like worst facelift and most fucked up tit job, but he couldn't walk away from the spectacle of it all. All he could do was to slug down a bottle of Thunderbird and cradle a hard on while slobbering, I do believe I'm ready for the Playboy Mansion. I want to see health. Open up those goddamn gates. He woke up before the former First Lady wet t-shirt contest and ran to his car in horror. He flicked on the ignition and forced in a homemade tape, and while Naughty Girls Need Love 2 leaked out, he thought about how much he hated all those old political arguments he heard, that individuals are symptomatic of a sicker society. He came upon Super K, the great beacon for people who are lonely and cheap, and admired its neon beauty against the black backdrop sky. He was looking sideways and feeling sick about what was smothering the rest of the land. Strip mall upon strip mall, grids and rows of anonymous stores. He thought about how all this used to be a beautiful forest, and how disgusting it was that every developer was using their own lunch hooks to get a portion of the profits. He felt his stomach tighten from the thought of another obese teen selling Swatch watches and sunglasses, but then he turned his head forward, away from the strip mall, and saw nothing but outstretched lanes of tree branches and unpainted roads, and he knew that he was finally getting ready to go home. How we doing out there? Doing good? Beautiful. This is called I Got Away Alive and Sane. I've been living like the whole FBI died in a Kool-Aid mistake. I've been keeping a time bomb in my shoes so I know that my watch is correct. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I've been up all night burning my bridges, making jokes about ex-friends' fetishes. I won't tell you to hold on or say you don't deserve what you get, and you certainly won't ever see me take the first step. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I got a floorboard in the garage. I've been overstimulated. I've been sore. I got away alive and sane. I didn't get strangled or stained. I got away alive and sane. This is from the new book. This is called Parallel Place. I live in a parallel place where the land is level, where the streets are bright in the evenings, and I know what tomorrow brings. I live in a parallel place where the wind is cold, where gray haired men sweep the bandshell and foxes sleep under church bells. I hear the lank haired women walking in the morning, their faces shaped by the sun. I live in a parallel place where there's endless electricity with very low voltage, where everyone dies of old age. I live in a parallel place where rain runs into a tunnel, where able bodied women clear the gutters and dragonflies rise in a slow motion flutter. I see the able bodied men hauling fallen branches, their faces shaded by the sun. I live in a parallel place where people speak in peace, where the foreman's spouse greets the mailman in a see through blouse. I live in a parallel place where the forest faces east, where contracts are written in invisible ink and codes are created with a wink. I see all the people breathing through the day, their faces graced by the sun. Blissful cardinals, blissful infants, blue reflections magnified 10,000 times, blue beams bouncing off aged lenses, radiant artifacts, radiant heirlooms, white sails blistered by the salty sun, white china stacked up in cupboards, shining domes, shining necklaces, green feelings balanced on a yardstick, green parchment weighted down by grapes. Here's I guess, the big political statement of the night. It's called Naïve. I'm told that I'm naive for being a pacifist. That pacifism can't work, will never work. Is it naive to believe that human beings can live without the mutilation and destruction of each other? I don't think that's naive at all. I think it's naive to think we can't make any progress, that we're stuck with our worst images, trapped by bloodlust, captured by the racism of nationalism, that we'll never improve, that we're nothing but doomed. Someone who thinks that suffering is necessary is naive. Someone who thinks that war is in our spirit is naive. Someone who thinks that sometimes you have to kill is naive. It takes courage to not extract revenge. It takes courage to see through someone else's weakness. It takes courage to not be blindly led into being an executioner. It takes courage to know that human beings have no reason to kill each other, and that no situation calls for violence against another. This is called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll on the ground and wonder when they could be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a well-worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their pasts. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about how much the new house on his route must cost and how much each month fuck Let's start that verse over. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. That's moderately better. This is dedicated to Blake. This is called Lazy Angels. If he's listening to this, hopefully this will be therapeutic in some manner. Squat woman sealed in a shadow frock, trimmed in white, absence of light, selling stories from her garden that she demands are heard, but is greeted with the silence of the crowd's indifference. She doesn't already know that we can breathe and we can leave. She can't see that we already can walk through doors and open windows. Counterfeit prophet steals the locks. Illegal son, zero as one. Selling pictures of her dinner her guards are obliged to buy, even as her art collection is vanishing until the walls have nothing left hanging. She doesn't already understand that we can perceive and we can receive. She can't see that we can paint flowers with any of the colors that we can imagine, and we can imagine all of them. Their far and distant minds are trails best left behind. Sister to her father stops the drain under a rotting stage, 6-month wage, selling reports carefully whispered in hopes her wealthy relatives will let her sign their wills first. She doesn't already know that we are her, twice as much or more, a complete verse. She can't see the red and gold bird flying right above. She can't see that we are her, twice as much or more. She can't see that she hands her keys to a steed who gallops away, away into the orange rolling hills. Orange rolling hills. Orange rolling hills. Orange rolling hills. This is from the book I put out in 2019. It is called, that book was called Citizenship. And this is called I'm Dancing with the Skeleton Key. I'm dancing with the skeleton key pinned under my belt the night after I'd had 2 simultaneous dreams in ocular split screen, one where a white-tailed fawn galloped to the front door and another where my brother couldn't sleep. I'm dancing with the skeleton key tied on a twine cord around my neck, remembering when my sister was locked in a minivan and stranded in a parking lot outside of Austin. She kissed the windows and ate the tape left in the cassette deck. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my unopened mouth, tucked behind my wisdom teeth and obscured by my tongue. I have memories that my sister still won't believe, and I wish I could have edited the 20th century. It all could have been done so much better. I'm dancing with the skeleton key scotch taped to my arm. When I was in school, the vice principal gave himself a heart condition trying to figure out who had stolen from the convenience store and then boasted about it on the blackboard. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in the grotto of a dilapidated Catholic church, where the priest once confessed to me that after each funeral he performed, the only way he could raise his spirits was by making uneasy music with the organist. I'm dancing with the skeleton key concealed in an alley, while bells chime at midnight near the railroad and kids with no curfew dodge between dashing headlights on their way to play hide and seek in the park. I'm dancing with the skeleton key laid on the floor of a garage while my brother draws out diagrams on poster boards connecting lines from consequences of thoughts to isolated islands of thinking divided by unintended regression of actions. I'm dancing with the skeleton key while I am safe at home, looking at sealed bags of clothes that I stopped wearing years ago while I was running for mayor on an unconfirmed platform of leaking information out about the governor. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in an adjacent office because the evidence my brother uncovered just got delivered to the lawyer and he predicts it will make the judge jump and remove any condemnation from his mouth. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in a strip mall that used to be a swimming pool, and before that a man-made hill that covered demilitarized waste trucked over from a Floridian base, and it will still take 100,000 years before any of it reaches its half-life. I'm dancing with the skeleton key clasped tightly in my hand as I watch my sister in the mirror speaking sentences using only one word and plant orchids next to power lines in the backyard. Then she dots the driveway with empty jars to accurately measure rainfall. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my pocket, moving loosely with me. My brother used to cry bitterly to our parents every time he got a ticket, refuting each offense, denying that he had done any of it. I'm dancing with the skeleton key, sliding uncomfortably in my shoe, but the nuisance helps give me the presence of mind to always hold up what I was taught. That when the rent is due, it's better to be full and well slept than to just hand over a blank check. I'm dancing with a skeleton key pressed into a book, watching Leaves of the Wind and a novelist at a press conference, performing fake sign language, hoping it will get him the attention he wants for trying to revive the printed word. And this is White Cello. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface. I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though. I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her, was the simplest thing you said today. I'm still and I'm still reeling with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscope, so instead I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments every night, eating fresh vegetables, but planning, you already know, and then you talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat, your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds, my misjudgments are my own and most are unknown, but just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean I'll let any dumb motherfucker abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me! I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the stolen car and then got out and ran for it, but I can behave for over 100 days and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to take lessons to learn how to play it all. But I'm sure that you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. We're holy rollers without a religion. No, we're not. And don't be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour in the morning traffic. I know you are, and you know that I care, and I feel like I'm Clark Kent all dressed up in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said to me, as long as it's not evil, and I said to her, I cannot be evil, certainly not right now, but it's the rising sun, it's a hard-boiled egg, it's basil, it's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello, I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. So are we going to wrap this up, or are we going to test people's patience? No, I'm thinking out loud. It's warm communication, and that's what I'm talking about, goddammit. So now it's time to change some channels. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, and all somebody that's supposed to be wearing a blue suit. Go to the slots that cut off and cut off your slots. It'll be like a reverse safari where they put lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and drive them around and show them people shopping and walking down the street or pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. It won't be in the Bible, but it'll be like the Bible. It'll be the suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars, and you wait underneath his kitchen table for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? Never heard from before. Advertising space available, clean, clear water, and of course, the tastiest tomatoes. All right, and now we are going to do our final piece of the night. Excuse me. This is called Rubber Buttons. It needs to be kept simmering and time should flow slowly and quietly. Let's go. My shoelaces are undone, which means someone likes me, as much as I love to see a basket of swing snowflakes. My shoelaces are undone, so I throw them next to a trunk full of styrofoam tongues, and the person who brought them yells, "Thank you!" The first person in the castle has the obvious advantage if they wish to scrape their fingernails against century-old windows. They can concentrate vacantly while being unfailingly polite and insisting their hands are made of the same sand as found outside on the beach. They know there is no joy in failure for their friends, and that the fun and restoration happens once the work is done. The second person in the castle has obvious ease, with boldly seizing treasure only they can see through a fizzing camera lens. They can research quietly while having no qualms about their ambition outstripping their abilities in assessing gaudy antiques. They know there is no lemon rich enough in sourness to let their taste get challenged into swallowing insects in soiled tents. The third person in the castle has the obvious edge when turning their profile to face the East End in hopes of repairing a table leg. They can dutifully saw and sweep the dust into the bin until the bell sounds for them to begin slicing vegetables in the kitchen. They know there is no crack deep enough to keep them from molding jellies into a series of perfectly semi-translucent wedges. I want brass buttons for my cousin. Because I could not count for cufflinks, they counted for me. Because I could not look for light bulbs, they looked for me. Because I could not dance for diamonds, they danced for me. They realized the chateau has the clear advantage as the place to evaluate flashy antiques. I want brass buttons for my cousin, but I make rubber buttons to wear for myself. While I sew, I look at the library and remember each of my most memorable finds. I want brass buttons for my cousin, but I make the rubber buttons I wear on my jacket. I buy the materials from the tan-toothed man who sold my mom a gold wishing box. I want brass buttons for my cousin because when I preach with the collar, it preaches with me. I want brass buttons for my cousin because when I move with the minnows, they move with me. They realize the chateau has the clear advantage when you're evaluating flashy antiques. Let's go! It's all right. My shoelaces are undone, so I only walk sideways and photograph a plum purple terracotta planter with a flag with a price tag sticking out of it. Oh, it's hard to know. My shoelaces are undone, which means someone likes me as much as I love wearing an apricot ascot while hearing stories about Korean camping sites. The first person in the tower can brighten their senses by energetically exchanging sunglasses and hairstyles once safely ensconced up at the top. They can cheerfully sing along with anything, though they prefer Caruso and ragtime to songs they don't already know. There is usually a fixed point in the distance for them to focus on things such as a helicopter or hawk taking off shortly after dawn. The second person in the tower can loudly shout, "How I love my girl!" which echoes back so overwhelmingly that they can think that they are inside of a private booth. They can detect the scent of her shampoo in the wind and look down to see her looking up and running towards them. There is normally an iron staircase nailed in 40 years ago, which serves as the one modern addition to the edifice. The third person in the tower can tell endless jokes over dinner about the rabbits they saw nipping chocolate from their mother's open purses. They can wear a lei around their necks which contrasts sharply with their pinstripe sport coat and tartan flat cap. There is always a sauna where they can fall asleep underneath a slippery painting of their father, all dressed up as a captain. My shoelaces are undone. They lay underneath the warmth of the sun. This is a true depiction, recited with excellent diction. Let's go! And now I can recall other memories, from walking around the castle, the humidity kept at bay, clouds letting loose only hints of rain, and vines intertwining across each other, and each new flower that blooms another gift for the dozens of bees and love with the newness of June. It's all on top of my eyes, a curious sage in an orange and brown dashiki, standing before a statue of the stripped Christ, arms open and hovering, all on top of my eyes, 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 standing before a statue of the stripped Christ, arms open and hovering, all on top of my eyes, lithium batteries in between her teeth. She holds a screwdriver dipped in green paint as she walks over underground cables, all on top of my eyes, in between her toes. She staves off headaches with gallons of water and sleeping when she can. All on top of my eyes. The swells of excitement are just one continued drone. Close concert of ideas. Stretching fingers. You did a great job today. Devoted. Seriously. All on top of my eyes. One wonder. One today. They say for every boy and girl, there's just one love in this world, and I know I've found mine. The heavenly touch of your embrace tells me no one to take your place ever in my heart. Young love, first love, filled with true devotion. Young love, our love we share with deep emotion. Just one kiss from your sweet lips will tell me that your love is real. I can feel that it's true. We will vow to one another there will never be another love for you or for me. Young love, first love, filled with true devotion. Young love, we share with deep emotion. Her eyes open while she pretends she can feel her own continental. She thought she might be post-person or her own cousin. She read the news. Fear of law, God and man, and God alone, God and man, in an infinite dynamic loop. She was one image at a time, so the job she thought she had to be a person, right? She wrote some news, platitudes aren't solutions, and filled space between ways. Now I'm new, and she also knew that the feeling being new was something that she could always circle back around to. This is Honeybee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like a coral pink butterfly heading to me. You're looking through your jeweled eyes. I'm waiting for your surprise. Birthday card, an aquarium hung on the wall, a memory in a vein swimming around, arriving late to hear a favorite song, flying like a honeybee that counts the flatfoot sings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive, bubbles on the honeycomb coming together in unusually warm weather. Honeybee, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. And now then, the present is the future, history is present, the future is present, the present is present, history is history. We see the future push the foregone wonderfully, all three, you and me. And as the wonderful Diane said, I hope our future is like flying birds. The weather is in the sea, gravityless moment caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. There is very little in life that matches what I feel when you smile back at what I whisper back to you. We're in the room and out of nowhere, looking at the inlet together in letters and circles, like a slit in the curtain, like a fluttering bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I want to be with you, you, always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a street light breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans, always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention. Imagine we are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a lick stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours, always, all time. And that, folks, is another exciting edition of the Quarantine Stream. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Let us play the Quarantine Stream theme one more time, shall we? Beautiful. All right, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay out there. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully, by the grace of God, we will be back next week. Until then, stay safe, stay smart, and stay free, because you already are. Got it? Yes. All right, everyone. Like I said, by the grace of God, we'll be back next week. Have a wonderful week. Hope you enjoyed this. God bless. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.